Let me tell you about a modern corporate legend. It's the story of how a global empire with something like 7,000 locations was stopped dead in its tracks, right at a single border, by a force it just couldn't move. So how is that even possible? How can one of the world's biggest fast food giants be legally blocked from not just one, but 3 entire countries? Well, that's what we're going to unpack here. The decades-long mystery of why you absolutely cannot find a Wendy's in the Netherlands, Belgium, or Luxembourg. This is a real masterclass in local law versus global ambition. Okay, so to really get this, we have to meet the 2 main players in this epic and frankly, kinda unbelievable tale. So in one corner, you've got Wendy's International. We're talking about the 3rd largest burger chain on the planet, with around 7,000 restaurants. And in the other corner, Wendy's Snack Bar, a single independent snack bar in a small Dutch town called Goes. I mean, it is the ultimate David versus Goliath story. And here's where the whole thing gets wild. This entire conflict, all of it, starts with the most incredible coincidence you can imagine. You really can't make this stuff up. Both businesses were named for the founders' daughters. Thousands of miles apart, Dave Thomas nicknamed his daughter Melinda Wendy. And over in the Netherlands, an owner named Raymond Warrens named his new snack bar after his daughter, who was also named Wendy. This innocent, heartfelt decision by 2 dads accidentally set the stage for a massive legal battle. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth does a tiny snack bar even stand a chance against a corporate giant? Well, it all comes down to the unique laws that govern this very specific part of the world. You see, the battleground here is what's known as the Benelux region, and they have this unified trademark system. What that means is if you register a trademark in just one of those countries, it automatically protects you across all 3. It's like a single legal shield for the whole area. And this is the rule that changes everything. It's a principle called genuine use, and it's simple. If you have a trademark, you actually have to use it. If you don't use it for 5 straight years, you can lose the rights to it. It's a classic use it or lose it situation. So when you look at the timeline, it all starts to click into place. See, Wendy's International did have restaurants in the Benelux back in the early 80s. But by 1986, the last one closed and they completely pulled out. 2 years later, Raymond Warrens opens his snack bar. And then in 1995, after the American giant's trademark had legally expired from 5 years of not being used, Warrens went ahead and registered Wendy's for himself. The throne was empty and he just walked up and claimed.
Okay, so the stage is set. Now what happens when Wendy's International decides it wants back into Europe? Well, that's when things kick off a legal war that has dragged on for more than 25 years.
Over and over again, the American corporation launched legal attacks. Back in 2000, they said the Dutch owner registered the name in bad faith, but the court shot them down. They took it all the way to the Dutch Supreme Court in 2013 and lost again. They even tried to argue that a single snack bar wasn't genuine use for the whole region, but the courts just kept pushing them back. And here's the knockout punch. The courts basically said, look, this is a local snack bar. There's no rule that says it has to expand into other countries to be legitimate. Local use was good enough. The snack bar was using the name in a way that was totally normal for its market, and that was enough to protect its trademark across the entire Benelux. Now, what's really interesting is that this kind of name conflict isn't unique. But how other companies have dealt with it, well, that's a whole different story. It really shows 2 completely different strategies. So take Burger King. When they tried to go to Australia, they found out a local shop already had the name. So what did they do? They adapted. They just rebranded as Hungry Jack's. And you know what? They became a huge success. Wendy's, on the other hand, chose to fight. And for over 25 years, they've been locked out. So that brings us back to the big question. Why? Why did the Dutch courts consistently side with this one little snack bar? Well, the answer is pretty fascinating, and it has everything to do with the local culture of the country's fast food market. You have to understand, the fast food scene in the Netherlands is just different. It's not dominated by huge chains. In fact, there are over 3,600 independent, single-location snack bars compared to only about 350 chain stores. So from the court's point of view, the one-location Wendy's wasn't some strange outlier. It was a totally normal, genuine business for that environment. They judged it by local standards, not global ones. So where does that leave the American giant today? Well, they're kind of stuck. They could rebrand, like Burger King did. They could try to buy the trademark, but the owner has said no over and over again. Or they can keep doing what they're doing now, which is this donut hole strategy, just building restaurants all around the Benelux, but not inside it. They did get one small win recently. They can sell branded products in supermarkets, but still, no restaurants. And don't think for a second that this has stopped them. Wendy's is still on the move. Despite this one blockade, the company is aiming to have 2,000 international restaurants by 2028. They're essentially building a wall of Wendy's right around the Benelux.
You know, at the end of the day, this whole incredible story is just a powerful reminder. Even in this age of massive multinational corporations, things like history, geography, and especially local law, they can still hold an immense amount of power.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it? In a world that feels smaller every single day, where do we draw the line? Should the massive reputation of a global brand automatically outweigh the legally protected rights of a small local business? Because ultimately, the legend of the two Wendy's shows us one thing very, very clearly. Sometimes controlling the map and knowing the law of the land is a hell of a lot more important than the size of your army.